I wasn't in the cave when they caught fire, but I smelled it 50 miles away. Propane don't smell like nothing on its own. We add mercaptan so people can tell. Rotten onions. I was standing in my kitchen in my underwear at 3 in the morning, and I caught it. And I knew. My pipe. Mine. She'd been dead 14 months already. But I smelled it, and I thought, there it is. Finally. Name's Jake Morrow, 34. Work for Hart County Propane Cooperative. Fix pipes, check pressure, walk fields with a wrench and a meter. Make sure the gas gets where it's going. That's it. That's the job. I'm no caver. Never was. Heights don't bother me. Small spaces. Fine. But caves got air that don't belong to us. Sits at the bottom like water. Ellie, my wife, she was a geologist. Went down into Mammoth Cave for samples and came back talking about how the earth breathes. Jake, it's lungs, she'd say. 1,000-year-old lungs. I'd nod, kiss her, and think about the pipe I laid 2 miles from there in '82. Through karst, through limestone full of holes like a sponge. Cheaper that way. Saved the cooperative $4,000. I signed the papers. Ellie died October '87, 14 months before Hicks Cave. Official word? Accident. Fell in a restricted tunnel. Said she slipped on wet limestone. But I know things about that tunnel. About the heater near the entrance I installed the summer before. About the connection I didn't check twice because it was Friday and I wanted to go home. About the carbon monoxide that builds up when a propane heater runs in a hole with no ventilation. I don't talk about it. I work. 14, 16 hours. Fix other people's pipes, so I don't have to think about mine. The coroner's report said she hit her head. I read it. Kept a copy in my glove box for 6 months. Then I burned it. But the word stayed. Hicks Cave, October 8th, 1988. I wasn't there. Was home. But I knew that cave. Driven past it 100 times. The Wilson farm with the big white propane tank, that was my install. My line. My signature on the permit. And that line went through karst. Through limestone. Through the same kind of lungs Ellie talked about. Only I filled them with gas. Not on purpose. You don't think about it. Lay the pipe, weld the joints, pressure test, move on. 20 years maybe before anything happens. Maybe never. Maybe the ground holds. Maybe it don't.
Thing about propane in caves, nobody thinks about it. Caves got their own chemistry. Carbon dioxide, heavier than air, pools and low spots. Hydrogen sulfide from groundwater. Smells like rotten eggs. But propane's heavier too. It seeps, finds cracks, sits there invisible, waiting for a spark. And in a cave, sparks are everything. Carbide lamps. Old cavers still used them in '88. Water and calcium carbide makes acetylene gas. Little flame. Warm light. Real pretty. You drop that flame into a pool of propane air mix, you don't get a boom like in the movies. You get a whoosh, a breath, a 10-foot fireball that eats the ceiling. It keeps going.
June '88, 4 months before the big one. A caver named Phil Odell almost died in the same spot. Station J247. Little slump pit, 8x7, full of mud and red mold on the limestone. Odell dropped his carbide lamp to check the bottom. Flame flared up blue, then went out. He passed out before he hit the ground. They dragged him out. He woke up fine. Bad air, they said. Report filed. Nobody connected it to my pipe. Why would they? Bad air's natural in caves. Except it wasn't natural. This was me. This was $4,000 saved in '82. Coming back with interest.
I read that report after, when I was looking for something. Atmosphere does not support combustion. That's what it said. Oxygen poor, CO2 heavy. But the flame flared first. Flared, then died. Means something else was in there. Something that burned quick and ate the oxygen. I'm no chemist. I'm a pipe guy. I sat in my garage with that report and a bottle of bourbon. And I understood. Understood what was building down there. What I'd been building for 6 years without knowing it.
Ellie used to say I had a nose for gas. Jake, you can smell a leak from across a room. That night in June when Odell almost died, I was asleep. Didn't smell nothing. But October 8th, I was awake. 3 in the morning. Standing in my kitchen in my underwear. And suddenly there it was. Rot. Onions. Mercaptan. 50 miles away. The wind was blowing southeast that night. I checked later. Straight from Hicks Cave to my kitchen window. Or maybe I didn't smell it at all. Maybe I just knew. The way you know something's coming because you've been waiting for it your whole life. Because you deserve it. Because you laid that pipe and signed those papers and told yourself it was fine. It wasn't fine. It was never fine.
The group that day, Tom Ehlers, Duke Hopper, Barb Graham, Larry Peterson. Good people. Cavers. They weren't kids. They knew the risks. Read about Odell and the bad air. But caves call you back. You think you understand a place, and then it changes. Water level drops. Air shifts. Something new grows in the mud. They stopped for lunch at J247. Took off packs and helmets. Duke Hopper, he was the curious one. The collector. Saw that red mold at the bottom of the pit. Wanted a sample. For science. For the beauty of it. I don't know. I wasn't there.
He climbed down. Small opening just above the slump. Dropped his carbide lamp toward the mold. And the cave exhaled. Not a boom. A whoosh. Blue-white flash that filled the pit. Filled the corridor. 10 feet of flame rolling across the ceiling like water. Like the cave was pouring fire instead of drinking it. The blast threw Hopper back against the wall. Killed every carbide lamp in the passage. Total dark except for the fire rolling overhead. The fire was everywhere. They couldn't see each other. Could only hear. Screaming. Coughing. The sound of rock cracking from the heat. They crawled. All 4 of them crawled down the corridor on their bellies. Below the flames. As fire goes up, it's the one thing everybody knows. If you're low enough, small enough, lucky enough, you crawl through hell, come out the other side with singed hair and surface burns, a story you carry the rest of your life. If you can. the ceiling don't come down on you first.
Robert had burns, Graham too. Nothing that needed a hospital. They walked out, called it in, and I heard it on the radio the next morning. Incident at Hicks Cave. Possible gas explosion. I sat in my truck behind the Wilson barn and looked at my hands. Ordinary hands. 34-year-old hands with grease under the nails. And I thought, there it is. There it finally is. They investigated. EPA, State Fire Marshal, County Emergency Services, took air samples, water samples, found nothing on the surface. Then in December they found it. Propane. 50 parts per million near the war entrance. Traced it to a damaged line. My line. The one I laid in 82 through karst I knew was porous. Through lungs I knew were breathing. They replaced it with an above ground run. Safe. Visible. No more secrets in the stone.
Nobody knew it was me. I didn't say. Watched him dig the new trench from across the road, drinking coffee in my truck. Didn't say a word. Sat there for 3 hours watching the backhoe tear up to ground I'd laid pipe through 6 years earlier. What would I say? I did this. I killed my wife and then almost killed 4 strangers. No, you don't say that. You go home. You sit in your garage. You take apart a pressure regulator for the 3rd time that week. Try to make it perfect. Can't make it perfect, but you try. That's the thing about guilt. It don't go away. It just sits there in your chest like the air in a cave. Heavy. Waiting. You learn to breathe around it. Ellie's ring's still on my finger. Loose now. Spins when my hands are cold. I'm gonna take it off. Used to think it was because I loved her. I did. I do. But now I think it's because it's the only thing that holds me in place. The only thing that says, he were here. He did this. You don't get to forget.
Sometimes I drive past Hicks Cave. The entrance is just a hole in the ground behind some trees. Nothing special. You'd miss it if you didn't know. I park sometimes, get out, stand there and smell. Rot, onions, my captain. Or I think I do. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's always been me. The gas I put in the ground, and the gas I carry in my chest. The bad air, the heavy air, the air that sits at the bottom and waits for a spark.
I wasn't in the cave when they caught fire, but I was. I am. Every time someone lights a stove in Hart County, every time a farmer turns on his heater, every time a caver drops a flame into the dark, I'm there. My pipe, my breath, my lungs, filling with something that isn't air. She said the earth breathes. Said it's lungs. 1,000-year-old lungs. And I filled them with gas. Filled them with my mistakes. And now I breathe them. Every day. Every night. In. Out. Waiting for the spark. Waiting.
Gas team. Gas Solwing.unstreeft. Just finding something about. Subscribe so you don't miss the next leak.